Good afternoon, everybody. Pretty excited. It's Friday. Do we really know what day it is, though? Right? Like, do we know what day of the week it is? Well, it is Friday. It's afternoon. And here at the Jenks house, we just finished our first week of homeschooling. And I have to say, we made it. There were several meltdowns. Probably half of them were mine, but we did make it, and we have learned a lot. In fact, today we have some special guest speakers. I'm going to bring them in. Today we have with us Wayne and Nina from Empower, and they are specifically here to, answer a lot of my questions. Again, selfishly, they're coming on to answer all my questions of how I'm supposed to be doing everything that I'm doing. But we're going to be talking about physical literacy and movement, and we're going to be talking about special education and how to advocate for our children. So I was just briefing them on this week. So our first week of homeschooling here was interesting, and I'm glad to know that we made it, and I'm just hoping that it gets easier next week.
Everybody survived.
My goal is to more than survive, right? Like I keep saying I'm going to come out of COVID-19, smarter. I'm going to have learned something, physically more fit, increasing my physical output, and looking at my diet and what am I doing, right? Like, it's hard being home. I'm sure we're going to talk about this. Like, I almost feel like I need to chain up the kitchen, like put a table. The kitchen is closed.
It's like constantly going back into the kitchen, going into the fridge. I definitely understand that.
I got a few extra pounds on myself right now.
Yeah, you're not hungry. You're just bored.
You're bored. Yeah. Grazing. You're just grazing.
Yes. And we're eating at home, right? We're cooking, we're doing all these different things. So I'm really glad that you guys are here. What I'd love for you guys to do is, Wayne and Nina, tell us a little bit about you guys and where you're coming from and why you are so qualified to talk to us about basically, physical literacy, education, and movement.
Okay. Well, fortunately we've had the luxury of working with athletes for many years, and not just basketball players, all types of sports.
Yeah.
And what we've learned in working with athletes is by focusing on their movement development, their foundational movement, their foundational strength, it'll enhance their skill drastically. So we really made that a big focus for us. And the other thing, the idea that regardless of whether an athlete wanted to become a professional or get a scholarship, but there really is a gifted athlete in every child, and it really starts with discovering their movement and teaching them good quality movement, and in that we found their gifts.
Yes.
And then that transferred into us getting an opportunity to work with children with autism. And we were invited with a challenge at Arizona Autism Chartered School here in Arizona, which is probably one of the first, I'd say one of the first full public K through 8 fully autistic charter school.
Yes.
And the owner is a phenomenal lady, and what she wanted a PE program for both her elementary and mid-school campus.
Yes.
And so they came to us and said, "Can you do this?"
Yeah, something that focused a little bit more on their fine motor skills and movement than just rolling a ball out and trying to have them like play a sport. It's more fundamental movement.
Yes.
So.
Because these students are very stagnant in their movement, or very sedentary. They don't often get an opportunity to participate in group games and activities. So that's something that she wanted to deal with. So we took on that challenge about 5 years ago. We got tremendous support, in that building. The applied behavior analysis training. CPI.
Okay, so you guys are in the trenches, basically. Working hands-on with these
occupational therapists, speech therapists, in order to deliver this PE curriculum.
Yes.
And so, that was our starts, and then the opportunity with Empower to now take that
and kind of do all of it,
and apply all of that
to
what we're going to talk about today for general education schools and classrooms.
Yeah.
Okay. So Wayne, you and I had talked about this a little bit beforehand. We are, my kids are so used to going to school, right? And when you're in school, there's a lot of things, and Sue hit on this last week when we first spoke. There's a lot of things we take for granted. The walking, from the bus to the classroom, from the classroom to the library, or, from the classroom to the cafeteria, from the playground, right? Like there's all this
movement and transitional time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For them to do things. And now what it looks like is, we wake up, we have breakfast, and I'm like forcing them to shower. I'm like, you would have. Why is this even a question? Like, just because we're not going to school doesn't mean we don't shower.
Yeah.
We're showering and we're getting ready. But then it seems like it's a lot of sitting, right? So tell me, why is this so important right now, specifically in a homeschool environment, that we have this, what you called structured movement?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you know what? Just in a typical situation where we're not dealing with this virus outbreak, our children are very sedentary. Even when they go to school, besides the transition of going to school and changing classes, the majority of the time they are sitting. And when they come home, they may participate in after school activities.
Yes.
But with video games and their phones, they are sitting a lot more than ever.
Than in previous generations. Yes.
And the challenge we know with sitting is it creates quite a few issues. Poor posture. Weakening the core. Tightening the hip flexors, and it's it's going to lead to higher risk of obesity and diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
So with children homeschooling our children now, we have to be that much more conscious of the fact that, are we supporting our children, in this area?
So you and I talked about this and joked a little bit, that at one point during the past week, I literally just told my kids to go outside. I was like,
get out.
And so what I was trying to do, not knowing, and I appreciate you educating me on this, what I was trying to do is I was like, there was so much sitting going on, right? Like we had just finished online school. We had just done reading. We'd done all these different things. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. I've got kids laying all over the house. Like I felt like they needed to get out and do something. So, help us parents understand, like, we want our kids to do something. What should they be doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes we're as a parent, we might be concerned that we need to be an expert in fitness training or something like that, but
becoming
really,
this full-time PE teacher all of a sudden.
We don't. Our children, they just need structure. They need structured breaks, and a little bit of guidance with some basic activities that will counter some of the negative effects of sitting. And so I got a young man behind me, Callum, and he's excited and he's ready to help us demonstrate a few exercises that will counter very specific things that in the effects of sitting.
Okay, we've got up on the board.
Okay. So first one, if you can hear me, okay, is we're just going to have him sit just to begin with, just to take a look at what happens when we're sitting. Regardless of how incredible your posture is, with time, gravity is going to cause us to slouch.
Yes.
Neck's going to drop, our core is going to relax, and even your hip flexors, everything relaxes, your glutes fall asleep. So one of the things that your parents is really just cueing them and just reminding them of what good posture to engage their core. So right away, I'll say, hey, you know what, pull your shoulders back, put your chest up, engage your core, and right away, just these cues will help him right away reset back to a good position.
Right, when they're sitting.
And then while they're sitting, there's some specific exercises that we can do to counter, some key things that are taking place. One is his neck. Your neck is very stiff and very tight because, again, it starts to drop. So what we're going to have him do is sit in a neutral position with a straight spine. And sit up nice. Pull your shoulders back. Relax them. And put your head in a neutral position. Now we're just going to do some simple stretches. We're going to let gravity, let his neck fall to the side, and and keep your chin nice and straight, pointing straight ahead. He's trying to look at the camera.
Tilt.
And then you're gonna just allow your head to tilt.
There you go.
And then relax. And then just hold that for about 15 seconds. And then he's gonna do that again to the other side. And then hold that. And then he's gonna allow, without letting his shoulders drop, he's gonna let his chin drop and relax and hold that. And then same thing, he's gonna pull it back. So now we're focusing on that stiff neck that he might get from sitting. Next, we're gonna deal with his posture. So we're gonna have both hands. He's gonna interlock his fingers. He's gonna press up to the ceiling, and he's gonna push his chest forward and then pull his arms back and get a nice stretch through his chest and his back to help with his posture. And the whole time I'm cueing him to breathe. He's stopped breathing about 2 minutes ago.
He's holding his breath.
He's been holding his breath this whole time. That's my fault. I'll take responsibility. So cue, nice, big, relaxed, easy breaths, but also to engage his core. Then we're going to have him stand up now, because with the glutes falling asleep and the hip flexors getting tight, we're going to have him do a couple little stretches to loosen those up. One, we're going to have one foot up on the chair. He's going to be facing the other way. And without dropping his chest, he's just going to go down into a lunge as deep as he can, as what's comfortable, and back up. So we'll have him do a few of those, and then he's going to switch legs. Again, here we're waking the glutes up that have fallen asleep from sitting, and we're loosening up those hip flexors. And then we're going to throw one more in. We're going to throw in a sumo squat. So he's going to take a nice wide stance, just like this, point the toes out, and he's just going to sink his hips and his butt as deep and as far as he can go, open up those hips that are tightening up. So besides that, you can make it a little bit more dynamic, which we'll talk about later, by throwing in some jumping jacks or, just having them jump and touch the ceiling a few times.
Mm-hmm. Some more movement.
Just that alone, will begin to counter the effects. It doesn't take very long, and you can sort of structure that, schedule that in 3, 4, 5 times, throughout the day while they're doing their online school.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Callum. I appreciate you being our demo. I'm sure get a handsome young man in there and it'll help our views. Okay. So that seemed pretty, honestly, that feels like something I should be doing just now that I'm normally in my office, I have a stand-up desk, and now I'm in my master bedroom, right? I'm not equipped to work at home like I work at work.
We are. Mm-hmm.
Those are things that I should be implementing. How often should we do those, Wayne?
Quite often. I'd say, for children right now, if you could do it, every hour,
okay,
giving them a good 5-10 minute, stretch break.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go specifically into brain breaks too, things that are going to recharge the brain as well too. But as far as countering the negative effects of sitting, absolutely, if every hour you can give them, 5 to 10 minute, break, where they get up and just move, do some movement, basic movement. Again, this is not anything that's dangerous where you as a parent at home have to be concerned about injuring your child.
Mm-hmm.
Just, natural movements that your body you would do anyways over the course of the day, sitting, squatting, standing, stretching,
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That's super helpful. In fact, you guys have, I'm going to put them up here on the screen. You guys have some of these amazing tools, and I don't have a great shot of these, but we'll make sure to post in the comments some pictures of these really awesome samples, right? Like this is exactly what you do with the kids. Tell me what these are, guys.
So they're all separated into different groups. So these ones that you have up are our dynamic warm-up exercise cards.
Okay.
And we'll go through the benefits of each specific exercise and the instructions on how to do them. And the great thing on the back is there are some really cool modifications for kids who are struggling with stamina, mobility, balance, and strength. And it gives them a little bit of modification to kind of suit their situation. And it'll give you how many reps, how long and how many sets you can complete these exercises for. So
and
they're really detailed.
Yes, and those are available on the website empowerec.com, and we'll put a few samples up there that people can use,
have access to.
Okay, perfect. Well, so Nina, we talked a lot about my past week, and you were hitting on some topics. I was like, okay, I was almost there, but tell me more about you and your specialization, because you really focus in on special education and setting up environments, right, for our kids to succeed. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing with Empower, is going into these classrooms and just helping to set up visual schedules, reward management tools, behavior management, and just making the classroom more comfortable for these students, especially during this time. It's just been a whirlwind, and they're just really right now trying to get the gen ed virtual education going. So I feel like special ed is kind of taken to the wayside, and a lot of the different services that these kids were getting, like OT, PT, speech, and even just in the classroom, the different services that they were getting, it's just gone all of a sudden. So I think just offering some tools and tips and tricks for parents, like a visual schedule. I think that's like the major thing that can help with just relieving some anxiety throughout the day. They're totally out of their daily routine, and now they're just kind of home and going into this homeschool routine. It's still very new for them. So having something that they can see every day that kind of maps out, you can put in their snacks, and just like we were saying, putting in their breaks, when they're going to have their breaks, and how long their breaks are going to be for. I think that will be really helpful.
And structured breaks are really great for relieving the anxiety, because sometimes children don't know what they want to do, even when they're allowed.
When they're given an hour
free time,
what do they do?
Like, what do I do? And that creates anxiety, and anxiety will create behaviors. And now you can spend your whole day managing.
If I had a bell right there, like you guys just hit on the head. So anxiety will create behaviors. Yeah, our kids are they're used to routine, right? They thrive in structure. Exactly. So I did this not knowing that this is what I was doing, and I can take it a step further. So working from home now, there are certain things, like right now you would call this like a hard appointment, right? Like this is something that I can't have you, mom, I need you, right? And so what I've been doing is every day I write my schedule. This is where I went wrong. I didn't write their schedule. We went verbally over their schedule, but I didn't put their schedule. I wrote my schedule and taped it to my door. And so it would say like mom's on a video call, right? Okay. So video call. And so they see mom's schedule. And what I was doing was, and this is where I'm going to change it, thanks to you guys, I'm going to go over what they're doing, because
exactly.
So my expectation, so like for instance, my expectation right now for them is it is free time. I don't expect my kids to be doing anything right now that would require my help, because they would have a meltdown, right? Like it just wouldn't work. But I didn't give them options, right? So when you talked about structured, and I like the illusion of choice, like mom's going to be on a video call, you can do one of these three things. So then they, what Sue called the voice and the choice, right? But it's all within my parameters.
Exactly. You give them what you feel like is going to be calm enough for you to be able to be on your call, but it'll still be enjoyable for them. But they felt like, well, I got to choose what I wanted to do. Mom wasn't just telling me I needed to do this during this time. So that's really great for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I need to take it a step further. And I've been coaching them all week on my schedule, very selfishly. Like, this is what I have to do. So now I'm going to go through and we'll create their schedules, and we'll get them up so that, and there's so many skills, right? Like, let's just take a step back and talk about life skills, right? Like these are really great life skills in terms of living by a calendar, living by structure, having just those are things that are
everything mapped out. You can do the color coding depending on how old they are, but a visual schedule, and even if it's just written out, and have them do it with you. Like, hey, during this free time, what are some activities that you may like to do? And maybe we can put them in there as a choice. So they kind of feel like they have control over their day. Like I gave my input and I feel, yeah, I know what's coming up next. And you can always refer them back to it. And they're like, mom, okay, well, what should you be doing right now? Kind of having them become a little bit more independent. So now go check your schedule. What should you be doing? And then they can get their tools and they're ready to go.
I love it. That's huge. I think that's going to change a lot of families' lives this week in terms of, I have been seeing some behaviors come out. Specifically, one of my children is on spectrum, and I've been communicating with her teacher via email, and I love her even more than I did before. I'm like, yes, you deserve a raise. Whatever you need, I love you and I miss you. But we were talking back and forth, and I said, I think these behaviors are just coming from, she's out of routine. She's out of her comfort zone.
Exactly.
She's experiencing her schoolwork in a new way, right? Like there's my one son, he said, well, Miss Edwards does this, right? Like when talking about math, she does this. And I get that. We need to give them some space for mourning of their teachers. Their classroom mates.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've gotten used to this environment and this person they get to see every day, and now it's just been taken away. So they're still adjusting, just like we're adjusting. So I think giving yourself a couple of days, a week or two, to just have everyone get adjusted, get your tools in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we sometimes we think it's children on the spectrum. It's unique to children on the spectrum or special needs, but when you think about us, absolutely, as us as adults,
how we're taking this,
I know for a fact, most of the adults we spoke to, our first week or two,
it was hard.
When we were told, okay, our daily routine is completely changed.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with myself.
They took away our gym. I missed my
gym.
I'm like, what equipment do I use? I mean, we do this every day, but when you're used to doing it in your typical environment, then it's like, okay, I got to make adjustments. So that anxiety that we felt, or stress that we felt, you can imagine a child on the spectrum. That has to be times 10,
right?
And even just your average children, gen ed children, that the stress level has to be very high.
Yes.
Well, and I joked about, this week there were probably 5 meltdowns and half of them were mine. Right. Like we're all learning, and we're learning new skills and strategies to be, quite literally locked up together 24/7. And we were practicing social distancing before this, before we got the mandate, but. So let's talk about, we talked about, I have several kids that have IEPs, so individual education plans here. Yeah. And I'm feeling this need, like, well, now my child's not getting that push in or pull out time, that additional help. And now I'm getting all of this stuff. So what should parent, as parents, what should we be doing right now to advocate for our children, whether they're special needs or not?
Yeah, I think having a conversation with who used to handle these services for your students, I think now becoming, before it was just, you would get reports on what's happening, and it was kind of managed for you, and you just kind of checked in and then see if everything was okay. But now you need to go a step further and reach out to any administrators at your school, or if there are any other services, if they can put you in contact with someone, so you can, even if it's just guidance on what you should be doing. If your student was getting OT or PT or speech, if they are no longer getting that service, what are some things that you can do at home so these students aren't regressing? Because they're making this progress right from the start of school in August up until now, and all of a sudden these additional services that are really important for these students are just gone. So I think reaching out to the teachers, if they can point you in the direction, if anyone in administration can give you some support. But I think now it's really pushing for, well, can I get a Zoom meeting once a week, and I can support my student this way, my child this way, or give me a list of exercises that are in a progression for PT that I can do once or twice a week with my child, so that they're not going back to a negative place. So I think really becoming an advocate for your student, just way more than you would have before.
Yeah.
I guess not being afraid, right?
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. I think this is it is an exciting time, because this will pass, and we can either use this opportunity to become better parents, better in better control of our growth and development of our children and the learning our children have. I think it's a the only way you can look at it to really make sure that we don't lose during this time is, okay, how can I empower myself? How can I learn more? How can I, take more control?
Okay, I love that. I mean, so that kind of leads us, Nina, into what accommodation should we be making? I know you talked about structured movement, and we've been alluding to these brain breaks. Yes. I'm very interested to hear about these brain breaks, because sometimes I feel like I need them.
Yeah. So brain breaks are just so essential. Like, they should be doing this in all classrooms. I think brain breaks are focused on just giving your child or a student that time to decompress, to re-energize, refocus, and transition. So if you can see, like in the classroom, if you're teaching, you can see kids start to slouch, or their attention is starting to drift. And if you're asking questions, you're getting no choral response. I think that's a good time for a brain break. And I think now that they're home, we know that they're going to be just drones sitting in front of a computer to figure out their work. Stopping them and getting them energized, if you're doing it before or halfway through, where you can kind of see that they're starting to toddle with their phones, or they're kind of starting to become more disruptive, that would be a great time to do a break. So we have Callum. We're going to go through some brain breaks. Well, we're going to go through some exercises that we can do during a brain break.
But so we'll show Callum, but a brain break, just so you know, can be in terms of like, it should be a structured brain break. Yeah. It's not just, okay, let them loose. You
have 5 minutes to kind of relax.
And it doesn't have to be exercise specific. So we're going to be doing a few exercises with dynamic exercises with Callum, but it could be something that will also stimulate them mentally as well too. Yeah. Where some sort of guessing or matching activity that combines movement,
spelling with movement, numbers with
adding
movement,
and numbers. And also we'll have some samples of those available as well too. But these are things that when we talk about as parents, the timing on this, just so you know, the timing on this, we typically, what we'd say to, classroom teachers is, read the room, learn, really learn to
learn the student, learn your child.
Yeah. Learn your students. And you can tell when certain ones that normally have a lot of energy, you're not getting any response from them. And that's when you start realizing, okay, you know what, we need to plug in a brain break. So Callum, we're just going to.
Okay, I'm going to put Callum up.
Callum, are you ready? Are you energized? Callum definitely needs a brain break. He's been sitting for a little while.
So we're going to actually get him going with dynamic, and we're just going to get him wiggling. See, and one thing about working with children, you really learn that embarrassing yourself and being silly.
They love that.
They love it, even if they don't admit it, but they love it. So we're just going to wiggle and get going. But we're just going to pick some dynamic exercises that are also going to do some of the same things that we talked about before, which is counter some of the effects of sitting, but also get them stimulated, because now we're just going to count. So even, we're going to do some Frankensteins, and we can have some fun with it. We're arms out, we're going to kick. So we got 1, 2, 3.
Count, Callum.
There we go. It's on work. 4.
There we
go. Awesome. So now we're starting to get a little bit more lively. And next, we want to. Remember, we said our glutes fall asleep, and we don't realize how uncomfortable we get when you see kids fidgeting and twitching. That their glutes fell asleep and they're getting numb. So we're just going to grab our knee and pull them to our chest. 1, 2.
Here we go, Callum.
3, 4. So it's a knee. That's called knee to chest. Then we're going to do some quad stretches. These big muscles here, when they tighten up. So we're going to do some quad stretches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cal needs a little bit more. I'm going to get him charged up. I'm going to throw in some jumping jacks for him. So let's get 5 jumping jacks in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then just a couple lunges, forward lunges. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna throw another one. I'm gonna give me some squat jumps. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good job. See, whether he wanted to be recharged or not, he's recharged. You can see we got a smile on his face. He's got a glow. He's ready to go.
Nina, what did you say? You said it helps them refocus,
re-energize, and transition. So if you're at the end of an activity or end of working and you kind of want to kind of slowly transition them from working into maybe something more active, brain break would be a good way to transition them. Or re-energize like we did with Callum, get the blood flowing, he's got a smile on his face, mentally he's ready to go, and refocus, have them focused on the task that's going to be coming next after this. So.
Okay. Wow, you guys have given us a lot. And again, thank you, Callum. We appreciate you being our model today and doing these physical exercises for us. So let's wrap this up. What are the top 3 things that you would tell parents like myself with multiple children at home in multiple age ranges? What do we need to remember to make this a successful experience? What are your top 3 takeaways?
Structure.
Yeah, first one is structure. And whether it's writing it on a whiteboard or like you said, you print out their schedule, structure everything throughout their day. What time they can have breakfast, what time they're going to be having a break, what time they're going to be in school. Just structure as much as possible. So that way you can refer to that and that'll kind of relieve some anxiety for them. But structure is queen in a situation like this.
No. Yes, queen.
Queen.
Structure is queen. I like that. What's your second takeaway for us?
I would say definitely movement. Don't allow them to become stagnant. Don't allow them to become sedentary because it is a health issue. So besides creating more behaviors, for you at home, we do want to instill anything that's going to allow our children to grow up and be healthier, stronger,
more active,
active. And that at a time like this now where they don't have their club teams, sports teams, we can't rely on outside coaches and teams to do it for us. We have to take on that responsibility.
Okay, I like that. So let's make sure we're moving. And then lastly, what's your last one for us?
I think being an advocate for your child. I think you don't know until you ask, right? We don't know what resources we have available to us and that can help us during this time. So asking your teachers, asking administration at your school, reaching out to friends or family who may know a PT or OT that can support during this time. So I think this is a great time to just be as involved and take a more hands-on approach to our students and their learning.
Absolutely. And plugging into awesome podcasts. Yours,
like this or
live streams like yours. I think this is huge, and for us, even the opportunity to come out here and share it. This is something that if you didn't create this platform for us and Empower didn't create this platform, for us, it would, we thought about it, you
wouldn't be able to share it.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to share this, on a broader level at a time like this. So. Any resources like this that are available, absolutely, we want to share with friends, and empower yourself. Knowledge.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. I want to also make sure you guys remember on Empower EC, wonderful, educators like Wayne and Nina, they are there to answer your questions. You guys have a chat feature. There are consultants from all over the United States there to answer questions just like what we covered today, but also math and literacy, science, like all these core subjects.
Absolutely.
And so I want to encourage you guys. The reason that we've partnered with Empower is that they are a local company here to us too, right? I love supporting our local companies, a Chandler-based company that services all of the nation.
Absolutely.
And all of you guys are in the classrooms working with kids, hands-on, cheek to cheek, if you will, that none of this is philosophical in nature only. It has all been tried and tested, and it's true.
Absolutely.
So Wayne and Nina and Callum, thank you guys so much for coming on here and helping us. we'll be looking for those awesome examples that of the dynamic warm-ups and different things. We'll make sure to jump on Empower EC to check those out. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I know I'm going to step up my structured free time and I'm going to program some brain breaks. So thanks again so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. All right.